Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Answers on Eschatology. My name is Dan Derry, and I'm the president of the Institute of Fulfilled Eschatology. We're in the middle of a study in Matthew chapter 24, and I want to share some thoughts with you from verse 28 this evening. So I'm going to read verses 27 and 28, and we'll launch here. So Matthew 24 and 27, "For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Wherever the corpse is, there the eagles will gather." Now, if you recall in the last couple of videos, we showed you that when Jesus mentions lightning in this context, he is using lightning as a metaphor for judgment. And what he was saying is that his coming, his parousia, would be a coming in judgment that would begin in the east and would be fully manifested in the west. And that's exactly what happened through the war between Rome and Jerusalem between 66 and 70 AD. That was his parousia, his coming in judgment upon Old Covenant Israel to terminate and culminate the end of the Old Covenant age. Now, on the heels of that, Jesus says this: "Wherever the corpse is, there the eagles will gather." In other words, Jesus is likening this judgment, his coming in judgment, to a bird of prey, to an eagle who is about to devour a dead body. Now, in the context of Jerusalem's destruction and Rome being the world power at this day, who was known as the eagle, their emblem was the eagle. The picture Jesus is painting is not hard for his disciples to understand. He's telling them that his coming in judgment would be through Rome, the eagle who was about to devour Jerusalem, who is this carcass, this dead body, who had been left desolate in the wilderness. Now, the disciples would have got that. They would have got that imagery, okay, in their context, in their day. But what Jesus was also doing is he was quoting Old Testament scripture, which actually prophesied of the very same thing. Okay, I'm going to show you this in the next couple videos. But Jesus is using Old Testament imagery, which actually identified Israel as a carcass or as a dead body, and Rome as this devouring eagle that would execute the judgment and vindication of Jehovah upon his covenant people. Let's do this. Go with me to Jeremiah chapter 7. Watch this. Let's read verses 11 to 15 and then down to 33. Jeremiah 7:11. "Has this house, which is called by my name," that's the temple in Jerusalem, "become a den of robbers in your sight? Behold, I, even I, have seen it, declares the Lord. But go now to my place which is in Shiloh, where I made my name to dwell at the first, and see what I did to it because of the wickedness of my people Israel. And now because you have done all these things, declares the Lord, and I spoke to you, rising up early and speaking, but you did not hear, and I called you, but you did not answer. Therefore I will do to the house which is called by my name, in which you trust, and to the place which I gave to you and your fathers, as I did to Shiloh. I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brothers, all the offspring of Ephraim." So this prophecy of Jeremiah, okay, was a warning and a imminent judgment upon Judah and Jerusalem that was actually fulfilled in 586 BC by the Babylonians, by King Nebuchadnezzar, okay? And this warning was that, listen, because of your sin and your rebellion, just like it destroyed Israel through the Assyrians, I'm going to destroy your house and Jerusalem, okay, that you've made a den of robbers. I'm going to destroy this place through the Babylonian army. But watch this. Go with me down to verse 33. Watch what Jehovah says. "The dead bodies of this people will be food for the birds of the sky and for the beasts of the earth, and no one will frighten them away." See, in this judgment, Jerusalem and Judah was likened unto a dead body. And this bird of the sky, this ravening beast, was Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar. You see this? You see this imagery, okay? Now, watch this. Jesus quotes this verse and applies it to the destruction of Jerusalem by Rome in the first century. Go with me to Luke chapter 19. And we're going to read starting in verse 41 down to 46. And he approached Jerusalem. As he approached Jerusalem, he saw the city and wept over it, saying, If you had known in this day, even you, the things which make for your peace, but now they be hidden from your eyes. For the days will come upon you when your enemies will throw up a barricade against you and surround you and hem you in on every side, and they will level you to the ground and your children within you, and they will leave not one stone in you upon another, because you did not recognize the time of your visitation. Now listen, that right there, verse 44, where Jesus says they will not leave in you one stone upon another, that's a parallel text to Matthew 24:2, where Jesus, prophesying the destruction of Jerusalem, says, Not one stone will be left upon another, everyone will be cast down. This destruction, this judgment that Jesus is talking about in Luke 19 is the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Okay, now watch this though. Then Jesus entered the temple and began to drive out those who were selling, saying to them, It is written, My house shall be made a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers. Wait a second. Jesus just quoted Jeremiah chapter 7, 11 and following, where Jehovah said, You've made my house a den of robbers. And watch this. The context is judgment as well in Luke 19, just like Jeremiah 7. What does that mean? Jesus is applying the prophecy of judgment that came upon Judah in 586 BC through the hand of the Babylonians for defiling the temple, for making it a den of thieves, and in that judgment, Judah and Jerusalem were likened unto a dead body, a corpse. And Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians were this bird of prey, this ravening bird that devoured this dead body through that judgment. You see this? Jesus is applying that prophecy, which was typologically fulfilled in 586 BC, and applying it to his day and saying that Jerusalem of his day would be destroyed by Rome, who had become this bird of prey, this vulture or this eagle, okay? This world ruler, and they were about to devour Jerusalem and Judah of the first century because they had made the temple a den of thieves and a house of robbers. Are you with me? And that means that Judah and Jerusalem had become this dead corpse that was about to be devoured by the Roman bird of prey, the Roman eagle. That's amazing. That's the message that Jesus is telling his disciples. Listen, he's quoting and alluding to Old Testament prophecy that he's pulling forward and applying it to his day. Jerusalem and Judah of the first century had defiled the temple of Jehovah. They had made it a den of thieves and a house of robbers. And that whole system and their whole world had become a rotting, putrid corpse, a dead body, which was about to be devoured by Rome, this great ravenous bird of prey, this Roman eagle. And it was about to take place in the first century. And it did in 70 AD when Rome destroyed Old Covenant Israel as a covenantal judgment of Jehovah upon his Old Covenant people for their violation of their covenant promises. Well, we'll have more to say on this text and the Roman armies and the dead body of Old Covenant Israel next time on Answers on Eschatology. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.